Man, I'm so jazzed about this one. Let's waste no time with intros and get right into talking about Barbarian. Welcome back to ML Miller Frights. I'm ML Miller. Before we begin, please do me a favor and punch that like button down below. Share this video with all of your social media addicted pals. Click subscribe to this channel and ring that bell for notifications. Barbarian is new this week in theaters from 20th Century Studios. It's directed and written by Zach Cregger. The trailer for Barbarian was damn near perfect, letting the viewer know that there is some kind of threat, that this is a horror movie, that terrible things are going to happen, and that's about it. You don't know who's the good guy, who's the bad guy, or what's the threat. It just shows you a young woman named Tess, played by Georgina Campbell, getting into a situation that puts her in a house with a stranger named Keith, played by Bill Skarsgård. Honestly, that's all you need to know, and if you're looking for a detailed synopsis for Barbarian, you're not going to find it here. Just be assured in knowing that you're going to have one terrifying experience watching this movie. And I love films like that. I honestly didn't even bother watching The Invitation because the entire goddamn movie was played out in truncated form in the trailer. Why go see a duller and more extended version of the Cliff Notes version we just witnessed? Fuck that. If it's any good, I'll catch it on streaming somewhere. But whoever cut the trailer for Barbarian needs to be hired to make all horror, and hell, all trailers for that matter. It gives away relatively nothing of the plot. It focuses on feelings of terror, suspense, and tension that you're going to feel while watching it by focusing on the reaction mainly star Georgina Campbell is having to all of the horrors she is witnessing. That was enough to get me in the theater opening weekend, and I'm glad I went in unspoiled. And you should too. Don't search online for spoiler-filled reviews. Don't try to be smarter than the film itself. Just go in as a fan of horror and take the ride. That's how I saw it, and I guarantee if you go in spoiler-free, you'll come out a happy horror fan. Director-writer Zach Cregger, whose most notable previous credit was writing, directing, and acting in The Whitest Kids You Know sketch comedy series, delivers the goods here. It's no surprise that he's a comedy writer because he crafts each and every scare in Barbarian like a joke, with a long, suspense-filled lead-in to a punchline that causes an immediate surprise reaction. There are numerous times when the actor in peril, and there are a few of them here, is looking down a dark hall. You know something horrifying is coming. But Cregger keeps the camera there, and not only does the thing in the hall appear, but it appears and then moves forward right into your face. So there's a shock of someone coming out of the darkness, and then a shock of the same thing continuing to advance right towards the viewer. This initial shock, paired with the recognition of the horror of what that shock is, worked like a charm at scaring the living hell out of me every goddamn time. Cregger's handling of suspense is incredible, beginning with the opening scene where Tess initially meets Keith when they both seem to have booked the same Airbnb. Airbnb itself is a play on the word barbarian, as well as the Detroit street the house is on being named Barbary Street. While the concepts Cregger is working with aren't exactly new, he does fashion them into a story that feels fresh, using the Airbnb as a setting for the mystery and horror to take place in. There's a long lead-in to the horror. You know something dangerous is going to happen, but you don't know when or where it's coming. So while Tess and Keith exchange pleasantries, you're just waiting for something to happen. Actors Campbell and Skarsgård are so likable and watchable going through these uncomfortable moments that I didn't mind watching them for this extended amount of time. You don't know if Skarsgård's Keith is going to pounce on Tess, or if he's just clueless to the situation that they're both in. That is but the first mystery box that is opened in terrifying fashion in Barbarian. Split into 3 acts, with a fourth bringing all of the threads together, Cregger tells an unconventional story filled with all sorts of shocks and surprises. The film reminded me of a mix between The People Under the Stairs, Don't Breathe, Martyrs, and Netflix Mindhunter series, if you can believe that. But like someone in the film describes, that only begins to define the horrors to be found in the house on Barbary Street. One thing I have to mention is that Justin Long is in this film. I'm not saying who or what part he plays, but his goofy performance truly makes for a wonderful break in the tension. Having gone through the ringer in the recent Neil LaBute House of Darkness and Kevin Smith's Tusk, and lest we forget Jeepers Creepers, Long has become a wonderful face to see in genre films. In this one, his character is dealing with a very modern issue, which is taken pretty seriously, but also speaks volumes by the way Long's AJ character deals with it. Like Campbell and Skarsgård, Long's character is fleshed out through conversation, and then later we see the character for what he really stands for. I'm trying to talk around any spoilers, so sorry if this is vague, but Long does a great job of playing a not-so-great guy. I've already said too much. The only other thing I'll say is that 31 and 3 from Hell's Richard Brakey is in this, and the awesome actor gets to do some very awesome things. I absolutely love this movie. It's the perfect popcorn horror film, ripe with potential for sequels if the filmmaker wants to do so, and if there is more terrors to be found in that house on Barbary Street, I'm in. Go see Barbarian and make it a hit. It's original horror in the cinemas, and we don't get enough of that these days. Just see it, folks. Just see it.
You're doomed to live the life you're meant to be, stuck inside your reality. You're doomed. Oh, you're doomed. You're doomed. God doomed. Live the life that you are meant to be. Live inside that reality.